particular example, we're talking about finding the margin of error used in constructing a confidence interval. Okay, so here's our problem. Find the margin of error E that is used in constructing a confidence interval corresponding to the following information. And p hat is given as 0.725, n is 200, and the confidence level is 95%. Now, before we begin, I want to remind you that finding the margin of error is just one particular part in the process of finding a confidence interval. So it's just one piece of constructing a confidence interval, and it's the one piece we're focusing on in this video. And many times you'll be asked to find p hat, and in this particular one, we're given what p hat is. Over here, we have this chart with common confidence levels. This chart is in your book. It's in the back of the book, and it's also on the cardboard pullout. So the common confidence levels are 90%, 95%, and 99%. And the critical values corresponding to those levels are 1.645, 1.96, and 2.575. Now, we do have videos involving confidence levels that are not one of these three, but these three are the common ones, and you should be aware of these three. Okay, so here's the error formula. Error equals z sub alpha over 2. You got to get used to this notation too. That's the notation for the critical value. The z with the subscript of alpha over 2 times the square root of p hat times q hat over n. So let's go about this. Okay, p hat was given to us as 0.725. There will be problems where you have to find p hat, but in this particular one, we were given it. Q hat will almost never be given to you. Q hat, it's up to you to know that Q hat equals 1 minus p hat. You absolutely have to remember that. Q hat is 1 minus p hat. So in this particular case, it's 1 minus 0.725, which is 0.275. So Q hat is 0.275. And now the margin of error is going to be E equals the critical value. And again, for our problem, the confidence level is 95%. So the critical value is 1.96. Times the square root of p hat times q hat. So that's going to be 0.725 times 0.275, wait a minute, all over 200. So all of that is in the square root. And I want to remind you that we do have calculator videos showing you how to enter the information into the calculator. And when you enter it in the calculator, you do not need this many parentheses around the 0.275 and the 0.725. Here, I'm using parentheses just for clarity, just to show you that it's two different decimals, 0.725 times 0.275. Okay, and if you have trouble with the calculator, I recommend watching the calculator videos. But if you enter all this into calculator and calculate the margin of error, 1.96 times the square root of all this stuff, you will get E equals 0.0619. So that is the final answer. E equals 0.0619. That is the final answer for this particular problem.